video game movies just a pile of ass? Hey everyone, welcome to the top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 worst video game movies. Yes, I'm finally doing this. Yes, I've had a lot of recommendations to do this, and here it comes, people. Here's the top 10 worst video game movies. Yes, we all know video game movies absolutely suck. Occasionally you get a mediocre one, but all in all, anytime we hear video game movie, Wreck-It Ralph doesn't count, but anytime we hear video game movie, we all seize up because we all know what's about to happen. We're gonna get something absolute shit. We're gonna get something that is horribly executed, not at all loyal to the source material. It has probably bad acting, bad action, horrible storytelling, just all in all, just crap. Anytime you make a video game movie, doesn't matter what director is doing it, it's gonna be absolute shit. And I'm here to celebrate that shit by my top 10 worst video game movies list. Alright, let's get to it. And before our top 10 list, you gotta have your dishonorable mentions. My dishonorable mentions are Assassin's Creed, Silent Hill, Mortal Kombat, Hitman, DOA Dead or Alive, the Angry Birds movie, and Blood Rain. All shitty ass movies. Just give me the top 10 list, but what did me my top 10 was my number 10. And my number 10 is every single Resident Evil movie. Yes, I just put them all in their one big category because honestly, I barely remember some of them. I remember the first two Resident Evils, and I remember the one that came out this year because I just reviewed it, but they all feel like the same movie. It's Alice fighting a bunch of zombies, and then there's crappy CGI monsters. They're monster zombies, and that's kind of it. They're all the same fucking movie. They're all the same bullshit. It's Alice versus the Umbrella Corporation, and Whistler, he's back again, and then there's zombies, then there's these side characters that we give two shits about. Pretty much most of them all die in each movie and stuff, and yeah, there's a bunch of, again, CGI creatures, and honestly, they're all boring movies. They're not exciting. I grew up with the Resident Evil video games, and these movies suck, and they're not at all like the actual video games. The actual video games are scary and intense, and you love these characters, especially Leon Kennedy. Oh yeah, they fuck his character up in what, the fifth one? Yeah, Retribution fucked him up, but yeah, these movies are just awful, god-awful movies. Horribly edited, horribly shot, shitty action, terrible performances. Yes, I don't care if Paula W. S. Anderson is married to Mila Jovovich. Mila Jovovich is not badass. She's not, well, she is kind of cool as Lilu in The Fifth Element, but that's about it. She's awful in all these Resident Evil movies, and Paul W. S. Anderson is a shitty director, and all these movies, these Resident Evil movies, are shitty movies, and they're probably going to make more, even though the last one was called The Final Chapter. I have a feeling it's not going to be the final chapter, but still, all these movies suck, and they're all tied for the 10th worst video game movies of all time. Coming number 9 is Doom. Yes, Doom. This is another stupid idea. Like, yeah, let's make the third act, it'll be a first-person shooter, kind of like what Hardcore Henry did. Not even a great film anyways, but yeah, so I'll make the third act a first-person shooter look badass. It looked more hilarious than badass, and yeah, it'll be basically Doom 4. This movie's like Doom 4. Not exactly Doom, but all the Dooms, but mostly Doom 4. A lot of the creatures and the elements of the movie supposed to be like Doom 4, but yeah, they got like Sarge, and they got Reaper, played by Carl Urban, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who has no charm and charisma. That's hard to do. The Rock is the king of charm and charisma, and he has zero of that in this movie. That's why this movie sucks. All the characters are awful. They're shitty, one-note army soldier guys. That's what they are. They're soldiers, bro, and they're here to fuck shit up. It tries its best to rip off Alien and try to rip off Predator and stuff, and even rip off Resident Evil. That's pretty sad, ripping off Resident Evil. Come on. Are your standards that low? But yeah, this movie, it's awful. Horribly directed, horribly acted, and just a stupid movie. Coming number 8 is a tie between two stupid fighting movies. Yes, two stupid fighting movies. That's Street Fighter and Double Dragon. Street Fighter, let's start with Double Dragon, because Double Dragon is technically a worse movie. It's got horrible action sequences. The performances are a complete joke. The script is a pile of shit. And the story is, what story? There's no structure. And it's just ridiculous and silly and cheesy. It's horribly made. It's one of the worst made video game movies of all time. Street Fighter is more annoying to watch because I actually played the video games of Street Fighter. I don't know much about Double Dragon other than I watched it a couple times a long time ago and I hated it. Street Fighter, I know the source material and I know the characters, and my god, that movie, the 1990s version with Jean-Claude Van Damme, gives none of those characters justice. The characters are more modernized and have like real people jobs, and it's really stupid, and the performances are really awful. The movie comes off very convoluted, and it is ridiculously cheesy and over the top, and it's kind of funny to watch, but again, it's really stupid. Jean-Claude Van Damme, I don't know why would they put him in this movie. He's awful, the villains are awful, the action is awful, there's a lot of quick cuts, the editing is all over the place, and yeah, both these movies, I couldn't decide which one I hated more, so I just put them both at number 8, because they both suck. Coming number 7 is Silent Hill Revelation. Yes, the first Silent Hill movie sucked. This one was worse. And what makes it worse is they have 2 Game of Thrones characters in this movie. Kit Harington's in it, and Sean Bean. God, fuck, I love those guys. Don't like them this much in this movie, though. Yeah, the story's awful. It has 0 scares. It is really torturous to watch. At least in the Resident Evil movies, you know, they swing by fast and stuff. You're like, okay, that was just fucking stupid. This one is a drag through. The pacing is unbearably slow. The scares are like a complete joke. These characters are irritating. You wanted them all to die and stuff. And it relies on, like, a lot of predictability and cliches and stuff. And it's awful. Everything about Silent Hill Revelation is absolute shit, and it's hands down one of the worst video game movies ever made. Coming number 6 is In the Name of the King, a Dragon Tail Siege, a siege, whatever the whole title is. Yeah, this is the one with Jason Statham. That's kind of all I gotta say about this movie. The action's awful, the acting's awful, the costumes are laughably awful, the production's terrible. I never played the game that it's based off of. All I knew, it was a video game adaptation, so yeah, I saw the movie years ago. I hated it, and yeah, it's one of the worst. Coming number 5 is Super Mario Brothers. Yes, Mario. Ooh, boo, 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 boo. Yeah, I grew up with the Mario Brothers video games. I grew up with so many of them. A lot of them are great. Some not so much, but a lot of them are great. Mario is a timeless character. Come on, I got a shirt on Mario. It's a timeless character, and the games are very timeless, iconic games, and so much fun for kids, adults, everyone of all ages and stuff. And yeah, they made a movie. Nintendo made a movie. Thank God Nintendo never made a movie afterwards. Thank God this movie almost fucking bankrupted them. This movie's just fucking awful. It's awful. It has Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo as Italian plumbers. I guess they're Italian plumbers, and apparently, you know, they're father and son. They're not brothers at all, actually. They're father and son. And Mario and Luigi Mario. Okay. Yeah, then they go into the worlds, and it's not at all like the Mushroom Kingdom or anything. It's nothing at all like Mario Brothers. It's like this weird dystopian place. And Dennis Hopper is King Koopa, and he doesn't look like King Koopa. Then you see he's like Koopa men, and what? Then there's like dinosaurs and stuff like that. Then he goes to the real world and turns a guy into a monkey. The fuck am I watching? Like, how's this Mario Brothers? How's this about Italian plumbers rescuing Princess Peach from Bowser and stuff? That's not at all in this movie. This is such a stupid movie. It is ridiculous. It is so bad. The effects are bad. The production is bad. The acting is bad. This movie's so bad. Bob Hoskins was drunk all the time on set because he hated the experience so much. That's how bad this movie is. It's awful. Coming number 4 is House of the Dead. Yes, leave it to Uwe Ball to make a bad video game movie. House of the Dead's awful. The editing, the shots, the point of view shots are just stupid. The action's terrible. The story makes no sense. Things happen that make no sense. It's completely inconsistent, and it's mind-blowingly awful. It's one of the worst movies of all time, and of course it's one of the worst video game movies of all time. So yeah, it sucks. Coming number 3 is Alone in the Dark. Oh crap, Uwe Ball again. God, I try my best not to talk about Uwe Ball because I feel like the less I talk about him, the more I can acknowledge that he might not exist. Like, he just erases him from my mind. The less I talk about him, I don't ever have to think about him. And now I have to talk about him because Alone in the Dark is awful. It is really bad. Yes, it has Christian Slater, Tara Reid. Oh god, and yeah, mostly the movie starts off bad with its bad editing, bad shots, horrible storytelling, and its opening scrolls that make no sense and stuff, and it starts off really bad, like really bad, but then when it gets to the third act, it gets especially kind of awful. Like, the effects are terrible, the acting is terrible, it really doesn't make sense. The plot holes just keep piling up on each other, and then how the movie ends, you're like, oh, it makes no sense. Yeah, leave it to Uwe Ball, because, yeah, he's just an awful filmmaker, and, yeah, stop giving him movies. I don't think he'll ever make a movie again, but watch, he'll make a movie again, because I just said that, but still. Yeah, Alone in the Dark, one of the worst. Coming number 2 is Street Fighter, The Legend of ChunLi. Yes, I'm not done with Street Fighter, because, yeah, Street Fighter was a pile of ass. ChunLi's even worse. Yes, Kristen Kruk from Smallville. I never liked her in Smallville, and of course I'm not going to like her in a frickin' title role. She's Chun-Li! Why would you cast her as Chun-Li? This movie is something a video game movie should never be. It's boring. It's so boring. It's not at all loyal to the source material. The story makes no sense. It's so horribly structuralized. There's no Ryu or any of the characters. It's mostly Chun-Li, and her story is so uninteresting and horribly constructed. Horribly directed film. You have Neil McDonough as the villain, and he's awful. The effects are laughably garbage. The fighting scenes are horribly done, it's all choppily edited and stuff, and again, Kristen Kruk was awful. She was awful. You had Robin Shou in this movie, Liu Kang. He was also terrible in this movie. Everything about this movie was beyond ridiculous. I saw this movie in theaters when it came out, and it was painful to sit through, and I never saw it again because it's one of the worst video game movies I've ever watched. And the number 1 worst video game movie, in my opinion, is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Yes, this is one of the worst movies of all time, and hands down, in my opinion, the worst video game adaptation. I grew up on Mortal Kombat. Resident Evil and Mortal Kombat were like my go-to games when I was a kid, and wow, the first movie sucked. That was awful with Paul W.S. Anderson. It was a stupid movie. This ended up being worse. The effects were worse. The action was worse. The acting was more over the top. The story made even less sense than it did in the first one. None of the actors even returned. This movie's so bad, no one even wanted to return for it, except Robin Shou and Talisa something. They all plays Katana. They changed them. James Ramore is now Raiden instead of Christopher Lambert, and Christopher Lambert was like the only good thing in the first movie. James Ramore is awful as Raiden. The effects are garbage. The editing is all over the place. The effects are laughably awful. They have way worse effects than it. They're so bad. In 1980s arcade video game has better effects than this actual theatrical released movie. This movie's awful. The action is awful. All the characters that we love from the video games are portrayed by terrible actors and also portrayed by bad writing. The writing is just so bad. Yes, they have Sub-Zero and Scorpion again, even though they died in the first movie. Yes, I know it's Sub-Zero's brother, but he's barely in the movie and stuff, and they also have, like, Cyrex in the movie. They bring Jackson. He's just this irritating character. They have Shao Kahn, and he's just this buff, bald dude who's over the top. It is glorious! And, it's awful. All the action sequences is just a bunch of people doing flips. It feels like I'm watching a ballet show, not a fucking action movie. Everything about this movie is stupid, and it's hands down the worst video game movie I've ever watched. It is absolute shit. So yeah, that was my top 10 worst video game movies, and if you're asking me to do a top 10 best, please. So yeah, in the comment section below, please tell me, what do you think are the worst video game movies ever made? What are your top 10 least favorite video game movies of all time? Comment below, let me know. And as always for this video, please like, subscribe to this channel, and join the dark side.